Welcome to the Actually I Can Female Entrepreneur podcast. I am your host, Kaylee Greenacre, a business strategist, coach, TEDx speaker, author, and your go-to woman for all things business strategy. I am obsessed with supporting female entrepreneurs to grow unstoppable six and multi-six-figure businesses that they love, giving them the freedom and life that they desire. During this podcast, I'll be sharing with you everything that you need to become a successful female entrepreneur, from the mindset shifts to sales and marketing strategies, and how to become an iconic leader that people can't get enough of. It is my mission to help you stand out, attract your dream clients and customers, and sell out of your offers with ease whilst building the business and life of your dreams. Let's make this your reality, ladies. Hello, ladies, and welcome to another episode of Actually I Can, the Female Entrepreneur Podcast. And I'm joined today by the fabulous Naomi Holbrook, who is the Unconventional Weightloss Coach. And today we are going to be diving into the SMART formula, empowering entrepreneurs, the formula for health, happiness, and high performance. Naomi, it is an absolute pleasure to welcome you here on the podcast today.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
I'm really, really excited to dive into this topic. And I think it'll be really good to start with, to just dive into a little bit of your backstory. How did you get to where you are today? Share with our listeners a little bit more about you and your journey.
Okay, so, well, it's a long one and I'm going to keep it as short as possible. It has had, dead ends, roundabouts, wrong turns, all of the above, but I am exactly where I need to be. So, honestly, growing up, I had a beautiful childhood, as in idyllic, wonderful, loving family. Grew up in a coastal village in North Devon, right overlooking the sea. Idyllic childhood. However, it was a really difficult one. I had lots of chronic illnesses as a child, born with whooping cough, constant infections at school, which caused me to have a lot of time off and real academic struggles. So I struggled with schoolwork, I struggled with concentration, I struggled with catching up all the time. I was always behind. And unbeknown to me at the time as well, from around the age of 9, I actually started having disordered eating. Didn't realize it. Parents didn't realize it, not diagnosed, nothing at all. Only as an adult that I actually began to realize, as I started my journey, kind of what had gone on. So from the age of 9 for 30 years, battled with my relationship with food, my body, my weight, my self-belief, my confidence, low self-esteem, all of those different things. And then really not helped at all by the fact that I lost my mum when I was a teenager. So she got a chronic illness at 45, died when she was 52. I was a teenager. And that, I guess, fueled then the disordered eating, the relationship with myself, the not feeling good enough, all those different things. I did, however, leave school with 0 qualifications, went and studied as a hairdresser because there was no other options to me. 1995, you left school without qualifications. It was kind of, free for all. But then I started on a career path and I ended up 21 years successful career in luxury hospitality and then luxury cosmetics. But at 41, everything just felt like it was crumbling around me. I had everything on the outside, the, properties, the successful career, all those different things. But I had literally lost all my confidence, all my belief. And what I didn't realize at the time was that I was going through the start of perimenopause. So 41, walked out of my corporate career, no plan B. I literally thought I was going to get fired because I'd lost all this confidence and just had all this doubt in myself. So I walked out and did some soul searching. And that's what brought me on this path after having lost 5 stone of weight naturally myself 11 years ago and reversing every chronic health condition I ever had that I was told I would have for the rest of my life. It put me on a path of, I want to help others. I can help others. And so that's when I retrained, became a certified nutrition coach, have studied extensively in neuroscience, and now help other women. And that's got me to today.
What a journey as well. And I think it's absolutely incredible what you do and what you have done. And ultimately, you're now supporting so many other women, which I really am looking forward to diving into. So I know that we're here to talk about the SMART formula and to talk about ultimately how women, female entrepreneurs can really boost their health, their happiness, and really drive that high performance as well. So shall we start off by talking about the SMART formula? What is it?
Yeah, let's. So it's a proven formula that I created, and I didn't realize I created it. In other words, it wasn't like I kind of thought I need to create a formula for my programs. I created it from 30, well, 40 years actually. I'm 50 now, from 40 years of personal experience of the relationship that I had with my health, and that was physical, mental, and emotional. My lack of confidence, my lack of belief in myself, my lack of trust, my disconnection and misalignment in how I was living my life. And like I said, I've reversed, multiple chronic health conditions. And also healed myself from 30 years of trauma from losing my mum and everything else. And what I realized was that I'd actually created this formula that had taken me from this place of despair and darkness and wearing a mask that people didn't see through, to then actually living a life of full alignment and feeling the best that I've ever felt, younger than I did in my 30s. And actually the reason excelling in my business and everything is because of how aligned I feel within this formula. So the SMART formula, it's an acronym. It stands for sleep, mindful nutrition, activity, rest and recovery, and time for self. And it is all about small, simple, sustainable lifestyle tweaks that can be incorporated into even the busiest of lives. It's not one size fits all, because we're all different and we're all juggling different responsibilities. But this formula has helped to reverse type 2 diabetes. It's helped women come off antidepressants. It's helped support women along their journey on GLP-1 medication. So it is the formula, but it also, as well as the health perspective, it has helped women to gain a confidence and a trust in themselves that they've never experienced in their lives. They've gone on and got incredible promotions, pay increases, healed marriages that were kind of on the verge of breaking down, but also excelled them into their business, where they are visible and aligned with what they're doing in their messaging.
Amazing. Can we just go through the SMART formula again in terms of what they
Yeah.
stand for? Because I'm really intrigued, and I'm sure there'll be many listeners going, "Oh, what was that again?" So let's just
Of
go through it
course we
again.
can. Of course we can. So sleep,
Yeah.
mindful nutrition, activity, rest and recovery, and time for self.
Amazing. So I'm sure if you are listening to this podcast episode and you want to find out more about the SMART formula, 100%, make sure you reach out to Naomi. We'll share all the links and all the notes and all sorts later on in the episode. But I want to dive more into this entire topic, because it really does fascinate me. And I know how important our health is and how it connects with our confidence and our happiness and our self-belief. There's so many things that connect. And I think as entrepreneurs, I do feel like we're under a lot of pressure. We put ourselves under a lot of pressure to an extent as well, don't we? So our health, I know, and I know I don't specialize in health, but our health is so important to us to make sure that we can then run a very, very successful business and we're performing in our best possible way. So you mentioned confidence a few minutes ago. So how does health and confidence connect when it comes to achieving goals, achieving high performance in business and in life, I suppose?
Yeah. Well, I think we so often see ourselves as like, this is me outside of the business. This is me in the business. This is me as a daughter. This is me as a partner, as a whatever. We're one holistic being. And when we are not in alignment with our health, and that's physical, mental, and emotional, that's when we lack confidence and belief, because we're not, and some of your listeners might listen to this and go, oh my God, that's a bit woo. And I would never call myself woo. However, what I realize now is that I wasn't living in alignment with me. So that that confidence and that belief, it comes when something I always say is when you're a woman of your word, when you do what you say you'll do. And, some people talk about motivation, willpower, discipline. You need to be more disciplined to go to the gym. And I'm going to call BS on it because for lots of women who have had disordered eating, poor relationship with their body, disconnected, been on restrictive diets, binge eating, emotional eating for most of their life, they're not living in an authentic self. They are misaligned with their body. So that's why that health perspective, physical, mental, and emotional, is so, so, so important. And when you are aligned in it, you said there about we're juggling everything, and not just in our businesses,
No.
parenting like I am at the moment for an elderly parent with dementia and Alzheimer's. We're all doing so much more than we were. But things like burnout happen when you are out of alignment. They don't happen because you're exhausted. They happen because you are not aligned with your physical, mental, and your emotional well-being.
Mm. Fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. And, I think it's really, really, really interesting point as well, because you're talking about the confidence, you're talking about the belief, and obviously all aligning and making sure everything is in alignment. Something that I find most entrepreneurs struggle with is self-belief as a whole. I know this is a massive thing, right? Self-belief as a whole. A lot of it is obviously connected to that mindset. So when you support entrepreneurs or female entrepreneurs, potentially with all the incredible things that you do, and obviously the SMART formula, if they're having self-belief problems where it comes up as a challenge, and that's actually one of the biggest stumbling blocks that you see, what do you do? What is the kind of the first thing that you recommend to people, or is there any advice that you could give our listeners that they might be able to dive into as such? Because I do think the self-belief is one of those key things that holds us back all of the time.
100%. And like I said to you before we started, I was so excited when I saw your questions because I was just like, oh, this is just my area that I geek out on and I could talk about it all the time. So, firstly, self-belief is strengthened from doing what you say you'll do.
Mm.
And I do believe that most of us have been living life back to front. We've been waiting for the confidence to do the thing that we need to do to get the confidence. Same
Yes.
with self-belief. So I said to my clients yesterday about something, and I said, if you don't think that I don't have moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, can I really do this? Then I need you to know I do. But do I trust myself now? And am I able to override that conversation in my head? Yes. Why? Because I have so much evidence of doing the things that I said I would do, even when I didn't have the confidence and the belief to do them. And maybe actually giving an example would really help with this. And it's actually not an example for me, it's an example for one of my clients who came to me and was feeling invisible because of age, because of, just feeling like she was sort of invisible in the world. And she said, I just want to get back out there and be confident and do things.
Mm.
So the biggest tip I can give is start small.
Nice. Hmm.
Start with something small. And this client, for example, she took herself to a book club that she would never have done on her own, went to the book club. Yes, it was uncomfortable, but yes, she didn't get eaten alive. She didn't die. It went well. The next thing was I was like, right, okay, you did that. So you've got belief now that you can do it. What's next? Next thing, booked herself a boat trip on her own, did that, loved it. Great, you've got that. Let's stack another piece of belief on top. And before I know it, I'm hosting my first my in-person event, which is once a year. She's not only booked, she's coming to the VIP dinner, and she's even said that I reached out and I said, how would you feel about being on my success panel and talking in front of everybody that's there? Now, I know that if I'd asked her that 6 months ago, she'd have bolted and probably gone right back into herself and done nothing. But because we've got all these beliefs stacked on top of each other, small, small, small bricks, think of them as a brick and a wall,
Yes.
she's now at this place where she knows that when she does things that she doesn't believe she can do and she achieves them, that she's ready for the next thing. So I think my two big tips are start small, and you need to do the thing to get the belief.
Amazing. So start small, And you need to do the thing to get the belief to continue, because I think that helps people as well with obviously that's all about self-belief, but also if they're stuck in a cycle of self-doubt, if they're doing those little things, it's moving them that little step forwards, isn't it? Because otherwise I think all of us can end up, if we don't do the things, or if we don't actually take action, all of us can end up in going around in our minds this cycle of, no, I don't think I can do this, or I'm not good enough for this, or we don't want that. We want everyone listening to this podcast, everyone out there, to be able to do the things to move forwards in order to achieve what they want.
Absolutely. But what we also have to remember is our brain has been programmed to stop us from doing those things. And that's why, I use neuroscience inside my programs. It's why I use it on myself, because our brain is programmed to listen to all the negatives, the fear, the doubt, you won't be able to do that. Plus, of course, we all have people in our lives, whether it's in our personal lives, professional lives, who also tell us sometimes that we can't do the thing. But that doesn't mean that we can't. So yeah, it's about, tuning out that negative lack of self-belief voice and listening to and doing the thing that achieves the self-belief.
Amazing. So this kind of goes on to one of my next questions that I really want to ask you, which is all about misconceptions, because I think there are misconceptions to everything. And obviously I specialize in this podcast as specializing specifically in helping female entrepreneurs. Are there any common misconceptions that you think that entrepreneurs have around either self-belief or health or confidence? And is there a way that they can actually reframe these?
Yes.
There's probably quite a few, so I've probably thrown.
There are, but do you know what? I had two in my mind because they are the most common that I hear and see all the time. The first one is time. So
Yes.
if I had £1 for every time a woman said to me, I don't have time to look after my health, I would not be having this podcast recording with you from home in East Sussex. I'd be on an island, retired. We all say we don't have enough time. And the reason for that is because so often we think we need to go to the gym for an hour. We need to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and do an hour's meditation. What I teach and the way that I work and the way that I live my life now is, where can I create those pockets? Is it that actually this morning, getting out and having my walk this morning, but actually doing some voice notes, catching up on some emails whilst I was out for my walk, actually brain dumping for my day, and actually just starting fresh in getting some space in my head. So time is one of the biggest ones. And it's so often because there's a misconception, because we've been sold, and also we've watched all these influencers and celebrities who are doing these 1 hour workouts, but that's what their job is. They're not also necessarily, they've probably got a team around them doing other things. So definitely a misconception of time. And I'm not going to say that famous saying, is it Beyonce, we've all got the same 24 hours in a day. Absolute rubbish. We're all juggling this life the best that we can with all that we've got, with a guidebook that we never received. But we all have time to do small, simple, sustainable things to invest in our future health. And the second one is perfectionism.
Oh my goodness, yes.
If I can't eat the perfect meal, then I'll just have toast. If I didn't get out for my walk this morning because I said I would, then my day's completely ruined. Then I won't go out for a walk all week. And one thing that I work with women on, because I think it is, and I am going to say this because I speak to a lot of men too, but I hear it so often with women. We have been programmed and conditioned and quite often role modeled on perfectionism, or what we thought was perfectionism. And what it stops us from doing is the unsexy work, the unglamorous work, because we say, if I can't, write my book and it's absolutely perfect, then I'm not going to write my book at all. If I can't get up there on stage and speak and remember every single one of the 40,000 words I'm going to say, then you know what, I won't do it. And I see this all the time, and that's why what I do isn't just about weight loss and health and well-being, but it impacts and ripples onto every area of your life, because I get my clients, and I do the same, to take imperfect action every single minute of the day. If you can't drink 2 liters of water, have a glass. If
Yeah.
you can't have a full, well balanced meal, grab something that's got higher protein or whatever it might be. So I would say that those are the two biggest common misconceptions, but I'm also going to call out a little bit here and say that actually they're very often avoidance techniques,
Yeah. Do you know what?
avoiding doing anything.
It's so interesting because I know that time is one of the most common things that people do say, entrepreneurs say, but interesting with the perfectionism as well. I mean, going back to the time one, I just wanted to share this with the audience, the listeners as well, is if we're kind of focusing on the health side of things specifically, and I'll sort of use my example of fitness. And I used to really punish myself mentally if I didn't make it to the gym, because I used to be a massive gym goer before I was a mum, and it was easy then. I had time. I didn't have a business back then either. And I used to punish myself when I'd do the school run. I'd be like, oh, I haven't got time to go to the gym. I haven't got an hour and then half an hour journey each way. So 2 hours out of my day to go to the gym. And it was again about just quite simple, I say quite simply, but reframing and going, well, what can I do? So I started getting up 20 minutes earlier. My daughter was at home, but I do a 20-minute I'm going to say Pilates stroke yoga workout literally on my kitchen floor. And I've been doing that for years. And do you know what? It makes me feel incredible.
And it is so, so true. And, to kind of mirror that, I haven't actually stepped inside my gym for 4 weeks, and that's unusual for me. I love going to the gym. I love my circuit class. I love the community spirit. However, I'm in a season of my business where I have got a lot going on, plus, an elderly parent who's got dementia, that juggling that. So instead of, like you said, I used to beat myself up and have all that guilt and that, shame and, oh my God, that word should, I should have done this. So I actually kind of just had that conversation with myself of, you know what? I'm not going to go to the gym for a couple of months. There's no pressure here. And like you, I got my weights out my cupboard. They're in the lounge. Even if it's 10 minutes, even if it's 15 minutes, even if it's a bounce on the rebounder, it is better than nothing. And that is where so often we're in that mindset of all or nothing. It's either I'm all in or I'm all out. And you don't need to be. You can actually, and I don't like the word balance because I don't believe that any of us can obtain balance in the world we live in now. But I think we can achieve harmony. We can achieve that alignment. We can achieve well-being even when we're juggling it all.
Yeah, absolutely. And this leads on to my next question, actually, that the concept of the word burnout, because I am always afraid of people burning out, and I don't want anyone to burn out and to experience anything along those lines. So when we're looking at this work that we do on ourselves, we're looking at our health, our mindset, our confidence, all the aspects and all the areas of smart, which honestly I'm so excited to read more about this and to find out more from you after the podcast recording. But how can then our listeners or entrepreneurs avoid burnout, especially when they're trying to achieve, high performance levels in their business?
Yeah. So I think what's really important to say is burnout is a genuine, I think lots of people use the word burnout. Some people are like, oh, I remember one of my coaches saying, you don't burn out when you love what you do. And I think, you know what, technically you can do. And look, that's what caused my mum's illness and death was burnout, because she never did look after her health and well-being. She was always her career, family, everything for everybody else. And I have had burnout. I suffered from burnout in my 30s and my early 40s in my career. So, how we can prevent burnout is the small, simple, sustainable things that you can do for your health and well-being, because every little investment you make into the pot of your health and well-being, every liter you drink, every protein meal you have, every vegetable, every fruit, every 5-minute walk, every turning off your laptop and giving yourself 5-10 minutes, we underestimate the impact of it. And funny enough, one of my coaches left me a voice note this morning. He said, whatever you do, just be aware, don't burn out. You've got your launch at the moment, you've got your in-person day. I see it all the time with 6 and 7 figure business owners. And I left her back a message and I said, first of all, I'm so grateful for you looking after my well-being, not just my business. But that's the smart formula. I don't burn out, even when I am in a place of, launch and running in-person days and juggling my dad and juggling all these other things. I don't burn out because A, I've invested into my health and well-being. So physically, mentally, and emotionally, I am as resilient and strong that I've ever been. But also, because of everything that I'm doing is in alignment. So whilst I might put my foot on the pedal at times, I also know when to just take my foot back on the pedal and then to put it back and to take it off and put it back. And I see it all the time. I see it with so many business owners where, and I've seen it with clients of mine that, come to me and they're in that stage of burnout, is that when you start to align with yourself, the self, then burnout doesn't occur.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, going back to that alignment, making sure that you are in alignment with yourself. And what about happiness? Because I think this is a really important thing as well. As entrepreneurs, we are always target driven, goal driven. And I absolutely see so much value of thinking about and considering our health and making sure that's an important part of all of this. But happiness equally is important, right, as entrepreneurs. So is there any advice that you can give our listeners? Or what's your take on this? What's your take on quite simply focusing on happiness alongside, health, performance, targets, achievement, all of those things, so that entrepreneurs are showing up for their business in the most positive, happy way, I suppose?
Yeah, I love that question. And if I look back to my old self, I was always saying, I'll be happy when. So
Yes.
for me, obviously battling with my weight for years, I'll be happy when I'm a size 10 or a size 12. Single for a lot of my life. I'll be happy when I meet the one. I'll be happy when this, I'll be happy when that, I'll be happy when I get the promotion. And what I've discovered is the journey is where you create the happiness. It's not in the result. I've had big launches for me, and have those launches made me happy? No. Has the growth that I've achieved in those launches and the beliefs that I've overcome and everything made me happy? Yes. So I always talk about gratitude inside my programs. And again, if your listeners and anybody listening to this and your audience aren't sort of woo, they might be like, oh my God, gratitude. But honestly, every single day, even when I'm having those messy in the middles, crying because I'm like, oh my God, I want, the next level and why aren't I breaking through? I'm grateful for those moments
Yes. Yeah.
because they are part of that thing that we're striving for. And there isn't success in the size 10, in the Lamborghini, in the 7 figure launch. The happiness isn't there. And anybody who tells you there is, I really do beg to challenge it, because I've met many, many, many successful business women and men as well who aren't happy because they've put the happiness on the thing that they're, the goal that they're striving for. So for me, I've got really comfortable with the uncomfortable, and I find the happiness in, the moments of, what's going on in my business. Where can I learn from this? Where can I grow? What would old me have done? And a new me is looking at this completely differently. So, and I see as well, I think that happiness sometimes can be, or unhappiness can actually be a cause of burnout.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know, it's so interesting that you say that, because I do think, especially in the online space, people are always striving for the next thing, which is not a bad thing, but they do think that they'll be happy. And I was the same. I was the same. Oh, just when I hit 6 figures, I'll be happy. Oh, just when I have that amount in the launch, I'll be happy. Just when I sign that amount of clients. And I'm sure that there will be many listeners that will absolutely have experienced this or are currently experiencing this, that they think that they're going to be happy with their next thing. But I think it's so valuable what you've said there in terms of happiness is in the moment, and actually acknowledging that through gratitude, but acknowledging, and I always think as well now, because I do really resonate with what you've just shared, I find happiness is sometimes just having a moment. And like you said, going for a walk, like walking my dog and having a moment and just being grateful for being able to walk my dog at 10:30 in the morning. I wouldn't have been able to do that 5 years ago. And it's the small, gorgeous little daily things that you can just go, oh, just having a beautiful voice note from you and thinking, I wouldn't have connected with Naomi if it wasn't for our gorgeous friend Claire. And I just, I think it's those things, isn't it? That, oh my goodness, I resonate with this so much. And I'm sure that so many of our listeners will be able to identify this and think, oh wow, I can actually do that. And is there a way that they can show gratitude? Is there a way that they can, or, sort of lean into this a little bit more on a daily basis? Is such like
Yeah,
a
I'll
routine,
tell you what
a
I'll do.
habit?
I'd love to share something with you because in 2019, I had a nervous breakdown. It was 25 years after my mum had passed away, and I had not healed. I had not dealt with all the trauma, and I had a nervous breakdown. And I was going through the deepest depression. I had been put on another course of antidepressants. I was seeing a therapist, and if I'm honest, it was a struggle to get out of bed to just function.
Mm.
And I did something. I set a reminder in my phone for every single morning, and it said, what 3 things are you grateful for? And every morning, that reminder, that visual reminder came up, and it just prompted me to just move my thoughts from depression and grief and trauma and loss to what do I have right now that I'm not appreciating? And every single day, even though I didn't feel like it, I went outside, and I didn't always get to the beach. I didn't always get to the end of the road. Sometimes I literally crossed the road, sat on a bench, but I looked for 3 things that I could find that would make me smile. Now, I love dogs. So it was very often, a little cute puppy that was outside a coffee shop, or it was somebody's garden that had beautiful roses in, or it was just the fact that actually it was raining, and God, even how amazing is rain.
Yeah.
So that's where I started. I don't need to have a reminder now to gratitude because it has literally become a default setting for me. It's just ingrained. I just look for things that I'm grateful for every day, even in the difficult moments, the challenging times, everything else. But that's a tip I'd give. If you're struggling to find that gratitude, put a reminder in your phone, put it on your laptop, schedule it in as an appointment for when you first sit at your desk in the morning. Find something, someone that you are grateful for that doesn't rely on getting on a flight to a 5-star destination or going to a fancy luxury restaurant, but just the everyday gratitude is what's important.
Oh, I love that. It links very closely actually to something that I say to my clients, and we normally do this for sort of what we're celebrating and what have we achieved today. And I always advise them that every day, at the end of every day, make a note in your notes section of one thing that you've achieved today. And obviously over a month, and then over 3 months, and over a year, you can see like, oh my goodness, look at all the incredible things. I suppose you can do exactly the same concept, but for gratitude, right? So it works so well.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's that stacking, whether it's habit stacking, belief stacking, confidence stacking. The more you do it, the more it grows and the more it expands.
Oh, I love this. Honestly, Naomi, this has been absolutely phenomenal. Just so many insights, incredible things for our listeners. What would be your final piece of advice for our listeners today?
Oh my word. Final piece of advice. So I think it's going to be just do it.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, whatever you are right now, preventing yourself from saying, if I had this, or I should do this, or I should do that, just do it. Whatever it is, just do it. Trust yourself enough.
I love it. Just do it, trust yourself, and do the little things every day that are going to help you. I love this so much. Naomi, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here on the podcast today. Where can our fabulous listeners find you and connect with you?
Oh, well, first of all, thank you so much. Absolutely wonderful to be here with you. Just about everywhere. I am Facebook, Naomi Holbrook, Instagram at Naomi Holbrook Coach, LinkedIn, Naomi Holbrook. Obviously, I have my website, www.theunconventionalweightlosscoach. But everywhere else, I am under my name, Naomi Holbrook.
Amazing. And for all of our listeners, you can find all of those links in the show notes and a little bit more about Naomi herself as well. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you to everyone that's tuned in to today's episode. Please don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. And I'll see you all again next time. Thank you for tuning in to the Actually I Can Female Entrepreneur podcast with me, your host, Kaylee Greenacre. If you are ready to build, grow, and scale your dream six-figure or multi-six-figure business, then head to our website now for more information or connect with me on socials to see how you can create your dream business and dream life.